A microphone.
Before we get started, I'd like to wish all the mothers, especially my mom. Mom, we'll put you on blast a little bit. Her name is Jean, but she's from the South, so her real birth name is Willie Jean. So, Willie Jean, Mom, I love you. Happy Mother's Day.
Hey Mike, Phil Barber, Santa Rosa, President, Democrat. Is Steve here today?
I haven't seen him yet, but he talked about coming last night.
I know he's been around and seen him at that practice, seemed to give everyone a boost.
Yeah.
Would it be another boost if he were able to show up today, do you think?
It's always a boost. And I said this yesterday, he's our leader. He's the head coach, and we're just trying to hold the ship down until he gets back. And anytime he can show up, whether it's a coach's meeting or game, practice, it doesn't matter. We want him around, and it's good for him to be around.
Mike, you're pretty steeped, obviously, in the Spurs culture and the way they do things organizationally. Fairly new here. Both have fostered these real organizational cultures, but how are they different?
Pop and Steve, they're the guys that basically set the tone for the culture or lay the foundation. And they have similar philosophies, but then again, certain things are different. I think they both want to have fun, but at the end of the day, Steve is probably a little looser than Pop, but it bodes well for Pop's players and that organization, just like the way Steve is bodes well for this organization. So if there was one thing that I would say is a little different, that's probably that, but at the end of the day, they're about trying to treat people right, about winning, and like I said, having fun, enjoying your job.
Tim California Mercury News. Mike, I know you had this season, then handed it off to Jerry. Was that just when you became the acting head coach? And how deep into the film study had you gotten into the Spurs, just as the scout guy?
We had talked about this as we went along, because when I kind of took over for Steve in Portland, I had Portland also, and so it was one thing that we don't like to do is we don't want our players to hear one voice all the time, because they can get monotonous, or some certain guys may get tuned out. And so with me having a scout plus showing film on off days and then talking to them as a head coach and so on and so forth, wasn't getting anybody else involved. And Steve clearly is a guy, just like Pop, but Steve's clearly a guy that wants input from everybody and wants participation from everybody. And so when we found out we were going to play the Spurs, that there was a chance we were going to play the Spurs, we kind of talked about it. So JC started preparing even before the series ended. I can't remember who would have had Houston, but you start preparing for both teams, even not with our team, but as coaches even before the series ended. So it was passed on to JC pretty early, and I just did prep work to help prepare the team in general. Like I showed the initial film coming into this series, and then JC started doing the scout stuff.
Popovich, like you do, do you expect him to come in here with something and try to surprise you guys off the bat?
Yes, he will. Yes, he will. But he also knows that it's hard to trick people at this point in the year. They're kind of who they are, and we're kind of who we are. And he says this a lot. You got to have players in this league to win once you get to this point, especially. And so we kind of try to help put them in a position where they can possibly have some success, and then they got to go play. And he knows all of our guys' tendencies. We feel like we have a pretty good handle on their guys' tendencies, and so now it's about playing. But it's a great coach, and he could come up with something schematically to help him.
Monty Poole and BC felt the butterflies any nerves. He said at that point, not really. Now that the game day is here, do you feel anything, and does it matter that Pop is on the other side?
Yeah, game day, you start to feel the butterflies, and especially as it gets closer to tip-off time. It's good to see Pop on the other side, you know, I love him, he's a dear friend of mine, and so it'll be fun, but I do want to kick his behind. Not like that boxing match picture of that, although I did like my body in that picture. It's terrific.
Tony Marcus from Sacramento. Spurs and the Warriors are 1 and 2 in efficiency, offensive efficiency and defensive efficiency. What type of series do you expect this to be? Is this going to be a game, you know, about the big men down there with Draymond and McGee and LaMarcus and Pau Gasol on the other side?
Yeah, it's going to be a physical series. It's going to be hard fought. You know, we told our guys the biggest asset that Spurs have is they play hard. They play hard for as close to 48 minutes as anybody in this league, and so we're going to have to try to match that in terms of how hard we play for the length of the game. And when you have two good teams that play that hard, it's going to be a highly contested match, and not just inside the paint with Draymond, the bigs, but even along the perimeter. You know, KD, Kawhi, Clay, Danny Green, Patty Mills, Steph Curry, and that they're very good basketball players in a lot of different positions where the matchups will be fun throughout the course of the series, but they're going to be tough.
Let's go, last one here for Phil.
Bring in Andre as your early substitution, as you frequently do. It's quite a luxury to have someone with that experience and knowledge of the game. Are the Spurs one of the few teams who can kind of match that if they counter with Ginobili off the bench?
Yeah, I mean, you guys, everybody saw it against Houston. You know, they saw how deep their bench is, and, you know, Pop, just like Steve, throughout the course of the year, plays a ton of guys, which gives guys confidence, not only individual confidence, but it gives the rest of the team and staff confidence in whatever player we throw out there. So, you know, when we throw Andre in, they throw Manu in, I mean, they can go deeper than that, and we feel like we can go deeper than that. So it's a positive for both teams.
Great, thank you, Coach Popovich.